I have a case at the International Criminal Court.
The main thing is that the children speak to one another. I'll bring Benjamin by at 7:30 and we'll leave them to have their discussion. You don't look very convinced.
If Benjamin isn't made aware of his responsibility, they'll just stare at each other like a couple of China dogs. It'll be a catastrophe.
What do you mean? What do you mean, made aware of his responsibility?
I'm sure your son is not a savage.
Benjamin, of course Benjamin isn't a savage.
Yes, he is.
Alan, I don't understand you. Why say that?
He's a savage.
How does he explain his behavior?
He doesn't want to discuss it.
Oh, but he ought to discuss it.
He ought to do any number of things. He ought to come here, he ought to discuss it, he ought to be sorry for it. Clearly, you have parenting skills that put us to shame. We hope to improve, but in the meantime, please, bear with us.
This is idiotic. Let's not end up like this.
I'm only thinking of him. I'm only thinking of Benjamin.
I got the message.
Let's just sit down for another couple of minutes.
A little more coffee?
A coffee, okay.
I'll have one too, thanks.
It's all right. I'll do it, Ronnie.
I see you're a great art lover.
Well, art, photographs, to some extent it's my job.
I adore bacon.
Yes, bacon,
Cruelty, majesty.
chaos, balance.
That's right.
Is Benjamin interested in art?
Not as much as he should be. What about your children?
Well, we try. We try to fill in the gaps in the education system. We try to make them read, to take them to concerts and exhibits. We're eccentric enough to believe in the soothing powers of culture.
And you're right.
So, the foodie. Is it a cake or is it a tart? Serious question. Listen toward, for example. I was just thinking in the kitchen. Is that a cake or is that a tart? Come on, you can't leave that last one little slice.
Clafouti is a cake. The pastry's not rolled out. It's mixed in with the fruit.
Mike, you really are a cook.
I love it. The thing about cooking is you have to love it. In my opinion, it's the only classic tart, that's to say on a pastry base, that deserves to be called a tart.
So, do you have any other children?
A son from my first marriage.
Not that it's all that important, but what started the fight? Henry won't say a word about it.
Henry refused to let Benjamin join his gang.
Henry has a gang?
He also called Benjamin a snitch.
Did you know Henry had a gang?
Oh, that's great.
Why is it great?
Because when I was his age, I had my own gang.
Me too.
And what does that entail?
5 or 6 kids follow you around, ready to sacrifice themselves, like in Spartacus.
Absolutely, like in Spartacus.
Well, who knows about Spartacus these days?
They use a different model, Spider-Man.
Anyway, clearly you know more than we do. Benjamin hasn't been as silent as you've implied. And do we know why Henry called him a snitch? No, sorry. It's a stupid question. First of all, I couldn't care less, and also it's beside the point.
We can't get involved in children's quarrels.
Well, it's none of our business.
No.
On the other hand, what is our business is what unfortunately happened. The violence, that's our business.
When I was 12, I had to fight to be head of our gang. I had to fight Bobby Kopecky, who was bigger than me. One-on-one, single combat.
Michael, what are you talking about? What's that got to do with it?
No, you're right. You're right. It has nothing to do with it.
We're not discussing single combat. The children weren't fighting.
I know. I just sort of had a flashback.
There's not that big a difference.
Oh, yes, there is. Excuse me, there's a very big difference.
There's a very big difference.
What?
Well, Bobby Kopecky, we agreed to have a fight.
Did you beat the shit out of him?
To a point.
All right, enough about Bobby Kopecky. Would you mind if I talked to Benjamin?
By all means.
I wouldn't want to do it if you didn't want me to.
What could be more natural? Speak to him.
Good luck.
I don't understand you, Alan. Alan. Stop it, Alan. I don't understand you.
Mrs. Novak.
Veronica, please, we don't have to be so formal.
Veronica, you're motivated by an educational impulse, which is very sympathetic.
If you don't want me to speak to him, I won't speak to him.
No, speak to him. Read him the riot act. Do what you like.
I don't understand why this doesn't seem to matter to you.
Ma'am.
Veronica.
Of course I care, Veronica, enormously. My son injured another child.
On purpose.
See, that's the kind of remark that gets my back up. Obviously on purpose.
But that makes all the difference.
The difference between what and what? That's what we're talking about. Our son picked up a stick and hit your son. That's why we're here, isn't it?
This is pointless.
She's right. This discussion is pointless.
Why do you feel the need to slip in on purpose? What kind of message is that supposed to be sending me?
Listen, we're on a slippery slope. My husband is desperate about all kinds of other things. I'll come back this evening with Benjamin and we'll leave them to sort it out naturally.
I'm not in the least bit desperate.
Well, I am.
There's nothing to be desperate about.
Yes, there is.
Don't make any statement. No comment. No, of course you can't take it off the market. If you take it off the market, you become responsible. The minute you take Antril off the market, you're admitting liability. There's nothing in the annual accounts. If you want to be sued for falsifying the executive report and get shit-canned in 2 weeks, take it off the market.
Last year on Parents' Day, wasn't it Benjamin who was in that play?
Charlie's aunt.
Charlie's aunt.
Well, think about the victims later, Murray. Let's just see what the shares do after the annual meeting.
He was extraordinary.
Yes.
We are not going to take the medicine off the market just because 2 or 3 people are bumping into the furniture. Don't make any statements for the time being. Yes, I'll call you back.
I remember him very clearly in Charlie's aunt. Do you remember him, Michael?
Yes, yes.
He was hilarious when he was in drag.
Yes.
They're panicking. They got the media up their ass. You got to prepare a press release. No, not something defensive. Not at all. Go out all guns blazing. You insist that Veren's farmer is the victim of a destabilization attempt 2 weeks before its annual shareholders meeting. Where does this paper come from? Why did it have to fall out of the sky right now? Etc. and so on. Don't say anything about health problems. Just ask one question. Who's behind this report? Right.
They're terrible, these pharmaceutical companies. Profit, profit, profit.
You're not supposed to be listening to my conversation.
You're not obliged to have one in front of me.
Oh, yes I am. I'm absolutely obliged to have it here. Not my choice, believe me.
They drop any old crap on you without even giving it a second thought.
In the therapeutic field, every advance brings with it risk as well as benefit.
I understand that. All the same, funny job you have.
Meaning?
Michael, this has nothing to do with us.
Funny job.
And what is it you do?
I have an ordinary job.
What is an ordinary job?
I told you, I sell frying pans.
And doorknobs.
And toilet fittings, lots of other things.
Ah, toilet fittings. Now we're talking. That's really interesting.
Helen.
It's really interesting. I'm interested in toilet fittings.
Why shouldn't you be?
Well, how many types are there?
2, gravity or pressure assist,
I see.
depending on the feed.
Well, yes.
Either the water comes down from above or up from below.
I see, yes.
I have a stock manager who specializes in this kind of thing. I can connect you two, but you have to leg it out to Secaucus them.
You seem to be very on top of this subject.
Are you intending to punish Benjamin in any way? We can carry on with the plumbing in some more appropriate setting.
I'm not feeling well.
What's the matter?
Yes, you're very pale, sweetheart.
A little pale, certainly.
I feel nauseous.
Nauseous? Oh, I have some Pepto-Bismol. Or we could, Coke. Coke's very good.
No, I'll be all right.
Come on, take a few steps.
Give me Surge, will you
You
please?
think so?
Yes, small sips.
Thank you.
Oh, right. Ask him to call me back. Ask him to call me back right away. Is it good Coca-Cola? I thought it was just supposed to be for diarrhea.
Not only for that. All right?
All right. Veronica, if we're going to reprimand our child, we'll do it in our own way and without having to account to anyone.
Absolutely.
What do you mean, absolutely, Michael?
It's their son. It's their prerogative.
I don't think so.
What do you mean you don't think so, Ronnie?
I don't think it's their prerogative.
Really? Explain. I'm sorry. Excellent. But don't forget, nothing has been proved. There's nothing definite. Get this straight. If anyone screws up, Murray is a dead man in 2 weeks, and us with him. Yes. Yeah. Call me back and read it to me.
That's enough, Alan. That's enough now.
That's enough, Alan. That's enough with the cell phone. Will you pay attention to what's going on here? Shit!
What's the matter with you? Have you gone nuts shouting like that? Serge heard everything.
It drives me crazy, that cell phone, endlessly.
Listen, Annette. I'm already doing you a big favor by being here in the first place.
It's an extraordinary thing to say.
I'm going to throw up.
No, you're not. You
Yes,
are
I
not
am.
going to throw up.
No one's forcing me to stay.
No, no one's forcing him to stay.